Coming to America, They Live, Young Guns, Die Hard, Beetlejuice, Rain Man, Willow, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Big, Mystic Pizza, Child's Play, Twins, The Naked Gun, A Fish Called Wanda, Married to the Mob, My Stepmother's an Alien, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Bull Durham, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, The Great Outdoors, License to Drive, Bloodsport, The Land Before Time, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
I know you'll know where we were when. I know you'll know where we were when.
Hello and welcome to Where We Were When, a podcast where we look back at our most memorable movie-going experiences from our youth and eat candy. I'm your host, Heidi Gardner, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, and he's my brother, Justin Gardner.
Hey,
Hi,
Heidi.
Justin.
Hey. I've got a package from you this week.
That's what I do. That's my thing.
That's right.
On this podcast, I send Justin packages every week, and it's a special surprise. It's a treat. So this is going to supplement our podcast tonight, what I've sent you.
Okay, great. Let me open.
You want to open it?
Yeah, this is a pretty big package, actually. So I've got. Oh, okay. This is cool. I've got a little popcorn. Let's see what this is. A little microwave popcorn.
Yep. Microwave popcorn.
Orville Redenbacher. And
Orville Redenbacher.
Some movie theater butter. Okay, hold on. I've got some more stuff in here. Let's see. I've got George Washington's favorite hot and spicy popcorn seasoning. That's cool.
There's a little extra something for you.
Taza chocolate cinnamon. Chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Chocolate. Yeah, that's great. It looks like it's, I don't know what kind of chocolate it is, but it says cinnamon. Got some gingins. That's okay. And
okay.
I've got a hat. Is this a clue what we're going to be talking about?
Well, that does look. What does that hat look like?
Well, it looks
the
like
logo.
It says Screenland Theaters, but it looks like the Blockbuster logo.
It looks like the Blockbuster logo, and we have bags of popcorn. I think tonight we need to talk about video stores.
Video stores.
And I mean, That was such a big deal for us.
Thousands of movies, thousands of hours in front of the TV. Blockbuster Video was such a massive part of our childhood. Absolutely massive. But hey, here's an idea. I want to have some popcorn. So let's just go. Through the magic of editing, let's go pop some popcorn, and we'll come back with our popcorn and a drink. All right? Sounds good. Let's do it.
Pop away.
All right.
Okay.
So we're back, and I got some delicious Orville Redenbacher popper. I'm gonna put some of this on here. It's really,
the butter on microwave popcorn is so. I don't want to say it's Cheeto dust-esque, but it certainly is.
It's hydrogenated and it tastes delicious. And when I said this, I'm putting this hot and spicy George Washington's favorite, although I don't believe that.
I do.
Hot and spicy popcorn season. You think George Washington A, ate popcorn, and B, liked it hot and spicy? Well,
I do.
You know what? George Washington doesn't have to be the president, actually. It could just be some guy named George Washington.
And that's what I was thinking. I never even thought the president.
I believe that. See, I just have that bias. So
yeah.
I'm getting it in there. And
Okay, so oh yeah, you haven't even tried it.
Jesus Christ. that
Podcast
is
is ruined.
that is hot and spicy. Wow.
It's like we're
That is
doing
like
hot ones, but with popcorn.
is the hot ones, the popcorn. Oh my
It's
god.
Carolina Reaper. It's actually Carolina Reaper.
This is some scorpion hot and spicy dust. Mostly the dust just went right up the nostrils.
Well, we ate a lot of microwave popcorn because our Bampo, that's our grandpa. Maybe you guys are getting used to it at this point that we call our grandparents Mamo and Bampo. But our Bampo was constant. I mean, every night had a nightly bag
Every night.
of every night. And so that's where we kind of got started on microwave popcorn. And that was part of the time I remember, watching movies on the living room floor of Mamo and Bampo's on the carpet. And we would either go to Blockbuster Video,
Right.
which I mean, I don't know. I do know that listeners will remember this because it was such a big deal. But like, I mean, wasn't that your guys' Friday and Saturday nights? Or you hoped? I mean, it was like that was like the main question that you asked, like, can we rent a movie tonight, right?
And we've got a surprise cat.
We do. We have Cubby, who I think came in at the end of the last one too.
She did.
She's decided she wants to be here. But right, that was the question. Did we ask any other questions to our grandparents other than can we rent a movie?
No, because what we were really talking about was kind of get into a little bit of a background, right? Like, so we spent a lot of weekends over at our grandparents. We are the children of divorce, and our parents were, going through some stuff, and they got divorced, and so they were just out. It was the '80s, and they were out doing stuff, and we got dropped off at Mammo and Bampo's, and you know what? That was fine by us because that meant that we could go to Blockbuster Video on Friday night around, I would say, like 4:30. We would usually get there early, and
It was still light.
still light out, and
Mamo had just gotten off from the laundromat. She owned a laundromat and dry cleaner. She came home, she picked us up and took us right to Blockbuster.
Yeah, Robindy's Shopping Center, for anybody who is familiar with Kansas City, is a desolate wasteland now, but it used to be a vibrant mini strip mall. And we would go there, and we would stay there sometimes an hour or more, just wandering through the stacks at Blockbuster, right? At least 20 minutes. There was never a quick trip to Blockbuster Video.
No. And our Mamo would wait in the car. She'd probably, make it the 20 minutes. And then when she realized we weren't even close to making a decision, which, I mean, God bless Blockbuster, but also screw Blockbuster, because how can you make a decision when there's that many options and that many movie covers? It's like, I mean, when we first started going to Blockbuster, I was probably 5 or 6, and it's like, yeah, I'm not really interested in horror, but the covers had like pumpkin heads on them and stuff. It was like it was just too much stimulation and eye candy. Like you had to look at every cover.
I mean, no, so setting the scene a little bit, you walked into a store that had over 1,000 movie posters in it, right?
Yeah.
So you would the box was a big thing. Like that was like a big reason why you wanted to rent the video or you didn't. And let's just level set here. We're talking about a time period from about 1988 to 1990. Those 3 years were prime Blockbuster time for us. You were 5. I'm
Yep.
7 years older, starting there, so I was 12. And yeah, that was the weekend. And just to give a sense, like I put together a list of some of these movies. So I want to talk through these lists because when you hear these movies, I mean, the 80s were the salad days for big blockbuster movies and also just like those movies that you remember. So I'm going to go through these years, okay? And
Great.
you this is we can do a word association. If you have any like thoughts, just stop me as I'm
Okay.
walking
That
through
sounds
these.
fun.
Okay? All right. So, let's start with 1987. So actually it came out in 87 and then it would come or it came out in the theaters in 87 and then it probably released in like late 87 and then in 88. Okay. The Princess Bride.
I mean, no words.
Yeah. Yeah. Dirty Dancing.
No words.
Well, you better find some.
Well, because it would take too many words. I'm just going to say if it's something that is like moved me and changed my life, I'm going to say too many words so that we
Too-
can get on with it.
okay. The Lost Boys.
Too many words.
Lethal Weapon.
I mean, good, but didn't change me.
Predator.
I was a little young, but I saw it.
Fatal Attraction.
I mean, the bunny, and I was too young to see that movie,
RoboCop.
but I did. Kind of one of those ones that was like you were into.
That was for me.
Yeah, but I was kind of trying to be like, yeah, RoboCop, sure. I don't care, but cared because you did.
The Untouchables.
Another one where I was like, cared because you did.
Hellraiser.
I mean, Pinhead, next to Freddy's scariest image ever in my life. And you were watching it one night and I woke up and saw it for sure.
Spaceballs.
Funniest thing I had ever seen in my life when that little alien pops out of the man's stomach and sings,
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss, my wine. Baby, my heart's on fire.
And you hadn't seen Alien. You had not seen.
No, and I hadn't seen Star Wars either. I was just like, Spaceballs, is it?
Oh, so yeah, that was like you had no idea about those because Return of the Jedi came out in 87. I think it did. And yeah, so and you weren't interested in that at all. Okay, keep on going. Adventures in Babysitting.
Incredible. I mean, I feel like I should just make looks so that I don't cut you off.
No. Well, I mean, this is a podcast. Can't Buy Me Love.
Didn't really see it until later.
Okay. The Running Man.
I mean, I just watched that recently again. I have so many, to this day, I think about that movie a lot just because, and that's why I watched it recently. It's just like, it's like a whole nother world. It was a whole nother world. And when you see that as a kid, you just are like, what was that? It's just always, I just think about that one a lot.
The Running Man happened, but then just a real quick segue, but then American Gladiators happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're like,
sick.
This is gonna happen. Like, this is actually gonna happen in the future. People are gonna kill each other on TV. Thankfully, we kind of, didn't go that way, but okay. Raising Arizona.
Yes. I mean, so fun.
Nick Cage,
A
Holly
little
Hunter.
old for me, but just the visuals were like big. And it was so funny. It wasn't that old for me.
Wall Street.
No, I haven't seen it actually at all.
Ever. Okay, cool. The Monster Squad.
I didn't see that one till later, which is shocking because it's very much in the Goonies zone,
It's completely in the Goonies zone. Wolfman's got nards. I mean, but I
Yeah.
will tell you this about the Monster Squad. That is a breezy movie. That movie starts and it goes. And it is not like very long. And they don't fuck around with the story. They're just like, we are barreling towards the finish, right?
Yeah.
And they just go. We could do a whole episode on the Monster Squad. 3 men and a baby.
Huge. Just that opening scene where like they come up in the elevators to where those 3 men live, and I think it's Steve Gutenberg's the artist and has painted all the men on the walls, and like they just seem like the coolest bachelors ever, and yeah, and it's just so good, so
Good
fun.
Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh yeah, that one. Uh, I remember watching. Actually, I remember watching that more at Dad's and Mom's than Mammo and Bampo's, but loved it.
La Bamba.
Yeah, that one was like, just I loved the music. Yeah.
Quick story about La Bamba. During the same time is when Mamo and Bampo got a legit, like, 20-foot across satellite dish in their
Mm.
in their backyard. So, like, you know how you've got the Dish Network tiny satellite? This fucking thing was like
It's
as
big.
big as a truck. And so they got that, didn't get any channels, didn't pay for any channels, just got the free ones. And there was some channel, all it did was play movie trailers. But it didn't play like 20, like a bunch of different movie trailers. It just played like 7. So I saw the trailer for La Bamba a lot because I was always like messing around on the satellite. Okay. Inner Space.
Yeah, huge. I think about that one a lot too. So
Mhm.
fun. Martin Short, Dennis Quaid. He goes in his ear. It's so good.
Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, huge.
Yep. Roxanne
Yeah, good.
and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I mean, that's one that we should focus up on.
We should talk about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because that was a big one.
Dell. Oh. Oh. Why did you kiss my ear? Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between 2 pillows. Those aren't pillows.
That was like one of the rentals that we would do week after week. It was like
Mhm.
sometimes I remember we would rent Planes, Trains, and then and return it. And then the next weekend be back there, and Mammo's like, what are you getting? And we're like, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And she's like, you got that last week. And it was like, yeah, we want to watch it again. And if it wasn't at Blockbuster and we had been really good and Mammo was in a good mood, if it was checked out at Blockbuster, she would drive us down the road to the grocery store, Hy-Vee, and they had
Ah.
a video store in the grocery store where I don't know if you guys had these in your grocery stores, but remember it was like a little like kind of kiosk video store, and the movies, they didn't have the boxes. They just had the printouts in little sleeves like hanging by like tags on the wall, you know? And so if it wasn't at Blockbuster, then we would go to Hy-Vee and try to rent it there. And like if it was at Hy-Vee, there was definitely only one. Like there was only one copy. Like
Right. They didn't have multiple copies of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, or really like any movie. Like that was they had single copies of pretty much everything.
so the odds were like you against all of Raytown. It was it was.
It what? No, you're right. You're right. But let's talk about real quickly. Let's talk about the selection process and what you had to do in order to get the movies that you wanted. So I don't
Mhm.
know if you remember this, but like so you were a little bit younger. I'm 12. Pretty quickly, you kind of understand the strategy that you need when you go into Blockbuster. You don't go straight back to the wall of videos.
Mm-mm.
Only a fool does that. That's a
Mhm.
fool's journey. You
Mhm.
go to the front counter and you start looking at titles because they have all of those VHS stacked up because they know that people are just going to be picking through those things. They don't even have to put them up on the shelf. People
Yeah.
will just be picking through those things.
So you're going to basically the counter where everyone has returned, where they've dropped it in that little slot, Remember the slot. They've dropped it. And
That's right.
hopefully you had like an eager Blockbuster employee who was like just fishing those out and putting them on the counter. And like, sometimes that counter would have like 3 films, and then sometimes it would have like 20. So you like check all those first. And then like, say we were looking for planes, trains, and automobiles. We'll stick to that. Say we're looking for planes, trains, and automobiles, and it's not there. Then if you had the guts, and I bet I was probably always did it to you, it would be like, ask. And so then
Yes.
you would ask if there were any like still
No,
in the drop.
It wasn't just that. You'd ask, and then you would wait. Okay. So like this was like, I was this kid. Of course, it's probably unlikely that they're in the drop, but you ask if they're in the drop, and they would just like look at you and be like, let me check,
Mhm.
like, nope, there's nothing down there, kid. Right. Basically,
Mhm.
except they didn't say kid. They were nice. Right.
Yes.
We actually had some, I have a story a little bit later, but there was, we became friends with some of the Blockbuster employees.
For sure.
So, um, but then you'd see somebody come up to that slot outside. They weren't coming
Mhm.
in. They weren't coming into the video store. They were coming to return those movies. And God damn it, if I wasn't going to be the first one to know what was in that return box.
Yeah.
So you'd hear that clunk, clunk, right?
Mhm.
And it was, I was just right there, and they knew that they had to get those movies because Justin Gardner was going to ask them what just came in, right? So
Yeah.
there was no point in not getting them. And
There-
sometimes that was the best feeling. I just like, that was
Yeah.
the absolute best feeling when you waited up there and you were waiting for a movie and somebody just happened to return it at that time. I mean, that was like that. It was addictive. It really was. Like
Mhm.
that was like a drug for me back then, because if that was like, I was like, yes, like that just, I nailed it. I completed the mission. Because
The mission of just
you were waiting up there. Like I was waiting up there. You were
Yeah.
wandering around,
wandering,
like,
yes.
yeah.
Because I think it was like we're going to get this movie tonight. And so that's probably what a lot of the I was browsing, but a lot of the time was just you slow playing it.
That's right.
And then I mean there
Yeah.
were full on times too where it's like, yeah, I'm browsing, I'm looking at every cover, Justin slow playing, waiting for someone to drop Scrooged or something. And th- when
Classic.
things really went too long was the time when you'd get an angry mammo like, let's go. And she was not
It
like
wa-
an angry mammo, but if she's been out there over an hour, it's that's her Saturday too.
Well, not just that, not just that. This woman could finish an entire book in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
She reads so fast, so she would bring a book with her. And I do think that there were times where she would read a book in an hour, get through the book, and be like, where are those goddamn kids?
Yep.
Like, I mean, she knows where we are, but it was yeah, it was a special time. I want to
So-
talk. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say that, so Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is definitely one that I know you and I rented a million times. Okay. There's one that actually trumps that for me that it goes down for me as my most rentable movie. And actually the movie like I remember the most from being at Mammo and Bampo's. And that is Parenthood.
Parenthood. That's right.
I mean, I was like 5 or 6, but that movie, it just had so many characters and so many kids and so many, and Steve Martin, like he was hilarious as Cowboy Gil. It was just like that one was like an addiction to me. I feel like you probably a few times were like, Heidi, we're not getting Parenthood again. But I know for a period, I was like, that's all I want to watch every weekend.
I'm sure I said it, but like I think that that movie was the reason why it was so special to so many people, and we and mentioned it. We were the children of divorce. That was a movie about dysfunctional families making it work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I really think like that was like it really spoke to us emotionally, right? Like we were just like, you know, that Steve Martin and Mary Steenburgen, were having problems, having issues. Their kid was, having behavioral issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like it was all out there, the brother who was a fuck
Uncle
up,
Larry,
Uncle
who get
Larry.
one of the best scenes ever. Well, two of the best scenes ever. Uncle Larry, who names his child Cool,
Did he say cool? Cool.
which blew
Yes.
my mind. And then when his father is Jason Robards, and when Uncle Larry
Mm.
gets dropped off at Jason Robards' house, which basically is him getting pushed out of a moving car. And quickly he sees his dad see him and he just brushed himself off. And his dad's like, "Who is that?" And he's like, "Those are my friends." He's like, "Friends usually stop." Um,
Oh,
oh,
Jason Robards. I mean, just that I love that movie. I
Keanu
love that movie.
Reeves, Rick Moranis, Diane Wiest. It was just like a really
Martha
young
Plimpton?
Joaquin.
Martha
Yep,
Plimpton? Yep.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point you hit on, was like the dysfunction, and knowing that those years that we were going through, not only mom and dad's divorce, but well, kind of like the end of their relationship, because they were still together and going out a lot,
Yeah.
and then divorcing and then meeting new people. And there was a lot of stuff that was like definitely being hidden from us, but things weren't good, and things that weren't being hidden from us. But
They weren't right. Yeah.
but um but that happened a lot in Parenthood. I remember Joaquin Phoenix walking around with that like brown bag, and it's like there was just a lot of stuff that felt unsafe, like his dad who had like abandoned him. And at that time, when you're going through a divorce, everything kind of feels unsafe and on shaky ground, and what's going to happen. And yeah, I guess there was something about that movie that, like, I don't know, just made me feel normal.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and you think about Parenthood, but then you think about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you've got this guy who's trying to get back to his family. You think something's wrong. You're not quite sure, right? Then another guy who's trying to get back to his wife, right? And they become family through this kind
Mhm.
of like dysfunctional journey, right? I mean, like there was, if the 80s did anything, they really understood how they really kind of like brought out sort of like that like dysfunctional family as the comedy, right? The comedy, the tragedy, the heartbreak, the drama, right? They were really able to do that. Another one of the movies that that we love and that became one of uh your favorites too, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
Again,
Oh,
right? Brother, sister, don't like each other. Um, and then
Cameron.
uh Cameron's family,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You never
So
see
scared
them,
of, no, but the presence is there.
right?
Yeah.
In that car, right? That car
Yes.
is like it represents like everything that his parents are and aren't to him.
Yep.
Um, and it's just yeah, they well, obviously, Hughes did an amazing job. Ron Howard direct Parenthood.
Mhm.
That was, I mean, I think that was the first movie that I even really understood who Ron Howard was and the fact that he was a director because we had watched him, on Dandy Griffith.
Yep.
But that was actually, now that I think back at it and he made that movie at that time, like that's just That's
I
just
know.
amazing. And all the different movies that he's made. I mean, bravo, Ron Howard. You've had a hell of a career. Um, but yeah, like that, that was Blockbuster, I think really meant some sanity, some like it was the same thing as Mamo and Bampos, right? Like we would go to Mamo and Bampos, have a really like safe, good time. The expected thing, go to Blockbuster, pick out what we wanted. Mamo and Bampo weren't really into movies. So they weren't, they didn't really have an opinion, and we
Mm-mm.
could rent anything that we wanted.
Yeah.
Rent at least 2 movies, if not 3, sometimes 4.
Yeah.
2
We'd
movies
get
on
up to
Saturday,
4.
2
Mhm.
movies on Sunday. Um, yeah, it was a really special time. Um, Blockbuster, meant quite a bit to us. Now, as far as like some other movies go, um, I remember that we both really loved Married to the Mob.
Yes. And you like, I feel like that what's funny is we really loved Married to the Mob, for probably 87 to 90. And then I really never heard about that movie
I
from
know.
anybody else. Like people my own age, just like, hey, did you used to watch Married to the Mob a lot? No, I don't know what that is, Heidi. Like, but and I'm like, Matthew Modine, Dean Stockwell,
They're-
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Or
No, definitely
Michelle
not.
Pfeiffer. They knew Michelle Pfeiffer, but
Yeah.
like Matthew Modine, Dean Stockwell, like what are you talking about?
But yeah, that movie was so much fun and yeah, just one of those ones like granted, you and I never like necessarily fought about movies that much, but there were times where we had differing
Yeah.
opinions. But I'm like kind of shocked we were so okay, that was one of the ones we were so on board with, okay?
So on board with, and I'm gonna name, or if you want to, but there's 3 of these movies that I think are forgotten gems
Yes.
that people
I
never talk about.
I'm sure that
So
you're going to name the ones I'd say.
the second one, My Stepmother's an Alien,
Yes, another one that it's like I
just
have to
disappeared.
drive just disappeared. I have to drive the conversation for ever bringing it up. It's like that one was so good. Dan Aykroyd like marries Kim Basinger, who's an alien, and is like so in love with her, but his kids are not in love with her. Because also she's Kim Basinger, so he can't even see right from wrong. He just sees this beautiful woman, and his kids see that she's like actually an alien. They see some shit, and he won't listen to them because he's like entranced with the Kim Basinger of it all. So good.
And that had such a memorable ending to me, because basically, like, I think she was there. I did not look up the plot to this movie, so I could just be completely like like fusing movies together. So forgive me if like I'm just butchering this. But she came to Earth, I think, to basically see if Earth was worth saving, or like, because there was going to be an alien invasion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she and so like the big aliens, kind of like are like, it doesn't look like you are getting along with your husband, doesn't, it's like, no, no, this is a great place. They deserve, to live, da 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 da. And somehow like the aliens were sort of like in the air or something. I don't know exactly what it was, right? But they were in the atmosphere of the earth, and they somehow they sneezed for the first time. And that was the thing that saved Earth, because they had never like these aliens had never sneezed before. It's like, well, that's novel. Okay, you know what? We're not gonna destroy this place. Like
Yes.
live your life, Kim Basinger. Like I'm pretty sure that's how. And it was just like, I just thought like, wow, that's such an interesting way to like end a movie. Like what a cool weird. Who thought of that?
What a give up.
Um, that's right.
No.
Okay, so My Stepmother's an Alien, and then the other one even though I feel like people should talk about it, is License to Drive.
I
The two
mean,
two Corys, right?
the two Corys, Heather Graham as the
Heather
coolest
Graham.
teen dream girl ever, and her name is Mercedes. Like, I forever when I would play on the playground, like sometimes me, Ashley, and Michelle would be like, okay, we're a gang, and we're like we call ourselves the Bloody Roses, and it's like, okay, what's everybody's gang name? I was always Mercedes, always Mercedes. It was just
Really?
like, yes, it was just like the coolest name ever and the coolest movie ever.
Well, License to Drive, I mean, it was all about like getting that, you know, becoming an adult, getting that car, taking out like the prettiest girl in school, right?
But he
But
doesn't. I mean, it's getting the license, but he doesn't get the license,
he
and
doesn't get the license. But he
which would
lies,
yes,
right? He lies
yes,
and and it has the biggest white privilege like ending because he steals his dad's car, he wrecks it, destroyed, and when he get home, I forget the guy's name, but he was like one of the 80s dads, right? You know,
yes.
like the quintessential 80s dads. And
And
his
Carol
dad's
Kane
like,
was his mom, right?
I think so. That rings a
Yeah.
bell. And his dad's like, eh, like there's no consequences. He just like destroys this car and there's like zero consequences for him, you
Yeah.
know? And it was like, huh, okay, well that's somebody just kind of gave up on that ending, but you know, that's fine.
So that's fun
Yeah. Yep.
for the viewers.
You don't really want you don't want to see Corey Haim, you know,
Get spanked. Or
disciplined.
something.
You don't want to see him get it disciplined
Yeah.
at the end of that movie. You want, you know, it's
Yeah.
like he didn't suffer really at all, but he suffered enough. Right.
Yes. Yes.
So that was I
That
think
one was
those
so cool.
right. Those are three that were really, really like yeah, I don't think people really remember them. I would say License to Drive, they probably remember.
Yeah. I
But
need to just say one title that I don't think people remember that we watched a million times.
Okay.
Higher Spirits.
High Spirits?
High Spirits, yes.
High Spirits.
Spirits.
Yes. Yes.
Have people seen this movie? Because it's fantastic. Steve Guttenberg,
Steve Guttenberg.
Daryl Hannah,
Yes.
and Peter O'Toole, right?
And a young Liam Neeson.
Yes.
Liam Neeson was the randy Scottish ghost. And yeah, that was one of those movies that was it just kind of came out of left field, right? You know? But yeah, people don't ever talk about that. They never talk about that movie.
It was very 80s. We rented it a lot. I just had to say it. I got to give it its props.
Yes. That is a lost classic for sure. But I do want to bring up one because I would say that like the two comedians of the 80s for us were John Candy and Steve Martin.
Yes. 100%.
And there was another film that we rented a ton. We owned Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Steve Martin in that movie is so funny. So funny. And an amazing performance by, is it Glenn Headley, the actress? Was that her name?
Yes. She would later was in
Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy, yes.
She was just perfect. I think, well, no, her name in Dick Tracy is Tess Trueheart. I can't remember her name in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but she Dirty Rotten Scoundreled them. So fun. Michael Caine. Another just like feast for the eyes of a movie. Just, you know, they're in like Monaco and all these like, and there's in mansions and Glenn Headley's in big hats and they're in nice suits and Steve Martin has an eye patch and it's just really good.
I think his name they were running a scam at the beginning of that movie, and I think his name was Ruprecht.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why do we put the cork on the fork?
To prevent him hurting himself and others.
That classic line. But yeah, that one was one of those that just came out, and of course we saw it in the theater. But we saw these movies. I mean, between Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and Parenthood, I mean, 100 times
Yes.
a
And
piece.
what I'm so shocked about is that
Now we didn't
I-
rent them 100 times a piece. Like we eventually bought these movies.
yes.
Yes.
They were Christmas gifts, Christmas VHS. But
That's right. That's right.
I'm shocked because I feel like I would have had like a full movie going experience by just saying that I rented those movies 100 times and that's what I watched as a kid. What shocked me was when you read me the list of what came out from 87 to 90. And I'm serious, this is like me from 4 to 7. You probably read me 60 films and had seen every single one you read to me. And I mean that's crazy numbers for a kid that little. That's
Yes.
all we were doing. And I have to
Mhm.
imagine because, you know, I have to imagine, you know, there were part of mom and dad's divorce that are like, you know, those vivid memories that are just like,
Mhm.
ooh, that was rough. That sucked, you know?
Yeah.
As you know, but you know, I don't know. I was like disassociating big time with Married to the Mob, you know, Adventures in Babysitting, uh, yeah, Mystic Pizza, Twins, you know, Twins probably got me through the divorce.
I'm gonna roll through. We're not gonna do the association game, but I'm gonna roll through this
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
Because when you hear this list, those of you who are listening, we might put posters up. I don't know how this is going to get edited because this is a lot of content. And Catherine, I'm really sorry if you feel the need to do this. But um, Coming to America, They Live, Young Guns, Die Hard, Beetlejuice, Rain Man, Willow, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Big, Mystic Pizza, Child's Play, Twins, The Naked Gun, A Fish Called Wanda, Married to the Mob, My Stepmother's an Alien, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Bull Durham, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, The Great Outdoors, License to Drive, Bloodsport, The Land Before Time, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, Mac and Me, Tequila Sunrise, Scrooged, Waxwork, Batman, Dead Poet Society, Steel Magnolias, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Roadhouse, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, The Abyss, Ghostbusters 2, Do the Right Thing, The Little Mermaid, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Major League, Field of Dreams, When Harry Met Sally, Glory, The Burbs, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Pet Cemetery, Uncle Buck, Tango and Cash, Say Anything, Weekend at Bernie's, Look Who's Talking, Parenthood, Driving Miss Daisy, House Party, Pump Up the Volume, The Grifters. That's 2 years. 2 years.
And we already did the 87 year. And I'm saying we saw all of those movies. And I'm telling you, not later. Like I was honest when you said Monster Squad. I said, I saw that at like 20. Okay, no. I know I saw all of these movies on Mammo and Bambo's floor. And that includes Glory, The Grifters, Driving Miss Daisy. I think Driving Miss Daisy was on the theater actually. And Pump Up the Volume. Like, not age appropriate films at that time, but at a certain point I matured and that was The Grifters was my taste. I don't know. This was a crazy time for movies. Like it was just, I just look at all these. It's like pure pleasure.
Amazing. And I mean, like, this is the thing. It's like you're going, I mean, like, I know that like this is one of those things that like for me, because for me, like when I was in this and I was, you know, I was that age, right? School was kind of tough for me, right? So being able to escape and, you know, actually kind of see how like the world worked a little bit, right? And how people sort of like responded to each other and like the creativity of people. Obviously, I knew that movies were movies. I, you know, didn't think that any of the stuff was real. But when it came to like things like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Parenthood, and you get these little cues. I mean, movies are teachers too, right? And they teach you about life. And the really, really good ones, they talk to you on that emotional level and they give you something that is really universal and true. And that absolutely was part of that. That helped me get through, some really tough times. When you felt bad, or when I was bullied at school, and I could come and I could rent a movie and escape and maybe learn a little something, maybe learn a little trick, maybe have something that I could like, fire back at somebody at school, right? Like that, it made you feel better, it made you feel kind of empowered too. Um, so that, Blockbuster, it wasn't just about renting a movie. It was about honestly like being able to like go anywhere, because that's
Mhm.
really what it was. When you go to Blockbuster and you rented a movie, you were taking a trip. And sometimes you could take two trips in one night, like to completely different places, right? And especially in the 80s when VHS was out, and like, for us, because we're kids, right? Something for Mammo and Bampo, they didn't necessarily want to watch movies on the small screen, but we're
Mhm.
kids, right? And so we like the best tech, and like we were in it, right? We didn't
Yep.
care that it was on the small screen. It didn't need to necessarily be on the big screen. Of course, it's great if it's on the big screen, but it didn't necessarily need to be, you know?
Mhm.
So that technology really spoke to us, in a really, really, I think, powerful way, and then obviously has influenced our life. I mean, I'm, in media and publishing, you do what you do, right?
I'm
And
actually writing a movie right now, and
ooh,
and I have to say, like, even the movies we're talking about right now, like when I've been writing my movie, it it helps me so much to think about like the way that like a fun, funny film makes you feel, that like you said, Monster Squad, it never stops moving. Like just a
mm-mm,
movie that like takes you, and it's like when I'm going through and editing my script, it's like I can see things so clearly, probably because I'm like seeing other movies in my head in a way, but like I can feel when something like takes a screeching halt and it's like, oh, the audience
right.
won't be along for this ride anymore. Like you've got to do something basically more fun here, or these characters have to earn this turn or this change. And I don't know, it really is, especially a lot of movies that we're talking about today, that I can really feel like, oh, I want to give people that feeling, no matter what happens. It's like, that was just a really, really special time. Um, is watching those movies on Mammo and Bambo's floor with you. That was really special.
Yes, that shag floor, the and I'm sorry we didn't set this scene earlier, but it's like the shag carpet, the green shag carpet, right? That's like not the like it's the stuff that's sort of like, is all over the place, right? The
Hmm.
console TV, right? So the big 300 pound TV, right? That was 8 feet, 6, 7 feet, with like the speaker in one side and the TV, the tube in another side. The massive VHS player, right, which was the top loader, right?
Hmm.
And then the satellite receiver too. So I
Yeah.
mean, it was bumping. We had like a lot of tech, right?
Well, let's
And
not forget the other two 300-pound things in the living room. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I no, I don't.
The radiators.
That's right. That's right. Our
Um,
grandfather helped build this house, and we had these, yeah, working up until what, 5 years ago?
yeah, they were still there.
Yeah, they were still there. They were still working, but these like amazing wrought iron radiators.
that actually we used a lot as a bench if you just put like a blanket on top so you wouldn't burn your ass. But I mean, those things put out heat.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's all to say we were very well heated during all of this.
They were not fucking around with the heat back in the day, you
Mm-mm.
know? They were like, because that was it. That was it. Like they needed to like make sure that they got that water boiling and those radiators hot.
Yeah. And Mamo and Bampo always had good AC too. I feel like we always had a couple units kick in. And I can still remember how the AC in the dining room smelled. And sometimes when we would like come in from like a
Mhm.
hot day, just standing right in front of it. Sometimes I think
Oh.
we would both run to it, and just get right in front of the AC.
Oh, it smelled like Freon, like
Mm-hmm.
pure Freon. I mean, it was
Mm.
I don't think Freon is legal anymore, but I don't think you smell that smell anymore because I don't think it's the same stuff.
No, because
Um,
I've stood in front of other AC units recently trying to get that hit, and I'm like, it doesn't smell like Mamo and Bampo's, but that's
that
probably
hit.
it's Freon.
Give me some of that good AC.
Smells so good.
Um,
This is another thing we should have mentioned up top, but I just kind of wanted to say that with video stores, we talked about Blockbuster and we talked about the grocery store, Hy-Vee that we went to rent movies. But this is just one part. This is part one,
right.
because when our parents divorced, our mom moved more to Midtown in Kansas City, which opened up our world and our eyes to indie video stores. And that's what we're going to be talking about on the next episode of Where We Were When. And it kind of like I was thinking about it today, Justin, and I was like,
Mhm.
if you really think about it, like all this stuff we were watching at Mammo's, it was like the end of the 80s, coming into the 90s, kind of like broad comedies. I mean, so good. But then, like, yeah, moving to Mom's and entering the 90s kind of was like just that transition right into indie film, right?
Well, it was VHS to DVD. It was Sex, Lies, and Videotapes, Pulp Fiction, right? That entire era,
Yeah.
Miramax. I mean, all the indie movies. Um, yeah, I mean, this is if we're gonna record part two very soon. It's gonna be the next episode right after this. So I would definitely recommend. I'm sure we'll annotate the video at some point. Um, watch these back to back because you're gonna get the full experience. But before we leave the blockbuster world, um, I had mentioned earlier that we had some friends that we
Yes.
made
Yes.
at the video store. Do you remember somebody named Zelda Brown?
Oh my God. With she had like kind of the frizzy brown
Yep.
hair.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, she was so nice. She was like one of the nice ones. I mean, she was
Oh yeah.
older, but she was like would always check. Like I think kind
Mhm.
of like hooked us up.
She absolutely hooked us up. I would say that like she was like the analog to Mamo inside of the video store,
Yes.
Like she was there, she was happy to be there. She loved just being there. She loved movies. Well, the hair is still frizzy.
It was
It's not brown anymore.
okay.
It's gray. I ran into her in the grocery store and she is 88.
Oh my God.
I know. She's like the most adorable. I mean, and she remembered me. She remembered me and she asked about you because
Oh
she's
my
so proud
God.
of you. Yes, she's so proud of you. So I helped her take her groceries out to her car, and that's who got me that. I don't know if you've noticed this is a Blockbuster
Yes,
slang.
I
It's
definitely
not
noticed.
it's not vintage. This is new, but like she still rocks the Blockbuster swag, I guess. And so like I am now friends on she's yeah, she's on Facebook. So,
Okay.
yeah, I added
Oh,
her
I have to
and
look her up.
yeah, yeah. But
Oh,
yeah, so
that makes me so happy. That's
Zelda
so
Brown's still
sweet.
around, still loves Blockbuster enough to have some swag on her to give one of her old customers. So
Ah,
I just
full
full
circle
circle. Yeah.
moment.
Hmm.
See, we're still Blockbuster left a lasting impression on us, and apparently Justin and I left a lasting impression on them, enough for him to get some Blockbuster swag. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Um, so that's part one. That's part one of Video Store Memories. Very soon we will have part two, and there's so much to talk about with part two. There's so many
So
amazing
much.
movies. There's so many amazing video stores that people need to remember. And in Kansas City specifically, you're gonna remember this. You're gonna want to tune in because we're gonna hit all of them. And so please tune in for that. Um,
That was
so
our bag.
that that's right. That was the big one,
Yep.
Blockbuster. Um, so Heidi,
Yes.
at the end of the show, we kind of like talk about what are you into this week? We're just kind of like catching up, seeing what's going on.
You know, I thought about this, and I'm just going to be real honest. The thing I'm into right now, I was like, no, you have to think of something else cuz what you're into is
No,
shameful.
no. This is where we are honestly talking about the thing that we
Yeah.
are actually into. We're not trying to be cool, right?
No. And
This is
this
just
isn't cool.
okay.
Um I've been off work for a week. And I'm just trying to be quiet and just do the things that you can't do when you're working. So basically be quiet and just watch TV. And I have just been binging that show Below Deck. Do you know
Oh
what that
yeah,
is?
I do know what that is.
It's
I
a
yeah.
reality show on Bravo about a crew on a yacht, like where when rich people charter yachts, and it's just the stories of the crew that live in the cabin, and the chef and the captain and the stewards and the bosuns. I'm learning all this like deck lingo. Um and yeah, it's just so easy and digestible, and it's just like
That's fine.
it's yeah.
There's
And I will
nothing to be.
say Kansas City, some Kansas City knowledge about it. One of the guests on the boat who rented out the yacht this week was Johnny Damon.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So just to let people know, Johnny Damon, when we were kids, was a Kansas City Royal.
Yeah.
He was like the cool outfielder.
Yeah. He was
You know,
really good, and we were really bad. So it was like only a matter of time before we lost Johnny Damon.
we lost Johnny Damon to the Boston Red Sox, and I think then he went on to win a World Series, didn't he?
Yeah. And he
I
played for
believe
the
so.
Yankees too.
Oh wow, yeah. So he made out like a bandit.
Yeah. But
Johnny
it was kind
Damon.
of fun seeing him again. So that's it. I'm into Below Deck. What are you obsessed with right now, Justin?
Well, I talked about NBA Top Shot
Yep.
in another episode, but I bought my first legitimate NFT.
Okay. Very cool.
Yes. And so it is you will enjoy it. You will enjoy this. It is sports related. There's a style of art, pixel art, and there is these things called uh uh CryptoPunks. And
Mhm.
CryptoPunks are just these like really like simple pixel images,
Mhm.
but they're like they're going for like in stupid, insane, crazy prices, right? Well, of course, people are like, okay, well, thank you, CryptoPunks. We're gonna make some other punks, right? That look like the same style of art, right? It's just all pixel art. It's just like what you would, it's. I'm sure we'll show it on the screen, but there was one called Clout Punks, and they did this style for famous people. And so I bought LeBron James.
Ooh, my hero.
And well, here's the cool part. The cool part is like when people buy these punks, they make them their profile pic
Okay, cool.
on Twitter. So like now I've got a punk profile pic. So I feel like one of the cool kids on
Yes.
Twitter, like the NFT, like cool kids. So like that's the first like legitimate piece of art. I bought some NBA Top Shot moments, which are like kind of the digital trading cards. But yeah, like that's for me, like that was like it was kind of a pretty big deal that like I actually purchased like a legit NFT. Because it's not super easy to buy those things. Like you have to like jump through a lot of hoops because you have to like get a certain cryptocurrency and then you have to like get this wallet and connect the wallet to a site, and it's still pretty complicated. So
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so like it was like I said, it was a pretty big deal for me. So
I love that.
I love it. Yeah.
And you know what? She jumped up. So, Cubby, what are you into these days? And she's into water. She's been getting really close to the shower. My cat, for those of you not seeing the video, is here right now. She's been getting into the shower or close to the bath.
she seems like she really wanted to be on camera. For the people who can't see, like Cubby wanted nothing to do with the microphone.
No, she didn't.
Absolutely nothing to do with the microphone. Well, hey, we've come to the end of the episode. And
yes, we have.
As has been the tradition.
Yeah.
At the end of these shows, I would love to be able to, well, I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to pitch you a sketch.
Yes.
So I've got
I am down with that.
You are?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
But I've been drinking a lot of water and we've been going for an hour. So can you just hold on while I go to the bathroom?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I will be right back.
All right. Cinnamon chocolates. It's all about. What is this? Oh. Oh. So the sketch is called Farting Mom. And just like, she's just a mom, and her like teenage daughter is like really distraught, and she's like, hey, it's like, talk to me about it, and like, I don't know if you'd understand. It's like, no, I understand. I've been through a lot, Like, well, it's like Johnny won't call me. It's like, well, it's like, if Johnny's not calling you, it's like maybe you should, stand up for yourself and respect yourself. It's like, and maybe he's just not interested. And then she just like farts, like a really bad fart. And of course, it like completely undermines like this really good advice that she gives. And like this is just like again and again, like she goes through this thing. Well, I don't know, like I don't want to be like, I want to play a character that's smart. It's like, no, it's like be funny. Like just just think about it. You don't have to like just or like Yeah, farty mom. And then we could like meet. Well, but if like farting grandma, they would already kind of know. Like, what? No, not farting. Farting grandma does. Just farting mom. It's just like her problem. It's not generational. Yeah. Hey, Cubby. Where's your mom? Oh, and she's gone.
Yeah. So we moved to Midtown with her and yeah, everything is like totally a 180 difference from when we're at Mammo and Bampo's and when we're at Dad's. And a great example of that was like the video stores. Like on Friday and Saturday nights when we would rent movies with mom, they were from independent video stores.